Hey, thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of three who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Hey, and welcome back to this week's episode with Sales with Suli. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I kind of want to talk about a topic I feel like more of us women need to address with each other as we continue to be a part of a space that is definitely male-dominated. I look back to, 14 years ago in the year 2008, when I first started in the door-to-door space. I look back at my team, and there was definitely a lot of women there, but I knew that if I was going to be a part of this space, like back then, at least that was the perception that I had, that I couldn't really show a ton of emotion, that I really had to put a lot of my feelings and thoughts just kind of on the back burner to be able to be included and to be able to keep up here with all the men in this space. And for what feels like probably 9 or 10 years, I definitely fell into that mindset of, just thinking more of like a guy. You kind of just punch each other. You really don't show a lot of your emotions and you kind of just move on. But it was also during that time that I fell into the trap and into the mindset of girls are just emotional. It's why we don't really recruit them. Girls just have a lot that they have to deal with. They're not always emotionally capable. Like men are just afraid of us, just crying and just being overly sensitive. And not to say that men aren't these way, because I know plenty of male sales reps who are just the same emotionally triggered as women, if not even worse. But this episode isn't about them. And what I do kind of want to address and talk about is something one of my bosses had brought up, and it's a valid concern. Over the last few weeks, as we've been working over, a couple of incidences, some of the questions that had been asked to me or that I've been contemplating a lot over this last month is, how do our male leaders, or how do men in this space create an environment or a culture, that's conducive for us women without us being emotionally reactive, or with us women not getting so easily offended, or men feeling like anything can be seen or looked at as sexual harassment. And I had never thought about the men's perspective until recently, and how important it is for me to be able to understand where they're coming from, as I'm wanting to be able to create change in this space as well. I want you, anyone who listens to this episode, whether it's you're going to text me personally or on social media, or when this episode comes out in the comments, I want to know like some suggestions or some things that you guys are doing on your team, or that you guys think that we should implement into the space to where men don't feel like they're having to walk on eggshells, or us as women aren't having to walk on eggshells. And let's dive into that a little bit. So one of the examples that he brought up, being a leader in the space, he gets nervous of just like being able to have like one-on-one conversations with women, and how are they going to take it? Like what they're going to be offended by? Like, can he give us a hug? Can he pat us on the back? And I'm like, gosh, I didn't realize all these little things that men have to think about as we are trying to level up and be right along with them. I want to help change that for myself personally and on my team. And one of the things that made me open my eyes when he shared an experience of, meeting with one of the reps, a female rep. He just feels the need to always push record, and just not knowing that after that conversation or any time that, someone could cry wolf, or someone could, say that this leader did XYZ, but there's no proof about it. We're just gonna believe, that woman. And yes, this isn't to talk or diminish about the actual incidences of sexual harassment that has happened in this space and, may happen in this space. Like this episode is not to diminish those things, but to bring to light and to fruition some of the concerns that maybe makes it for men not wanting to be able to be at the same table as us as women. And so my response to this is they're asking me, what boundaries do they need to have, or like, what is it that we need to have more awareness in this space to where men just don't feel like, again, they're walking on eggshells. And for me, I remember one of the guys on the team getting super offended with me because I gave all of the women hugs on the team, and this one day I didn't give him a hug. And it may sound silly, to a lot of people that he was offended that I didn't give him a hug, but we're all emotionally created differently. And that's what I want to think about. And that's what I want to address, is that there are going to be both men and women in this space who might just take offense to a one-liner, to a joke, to anything on the team, that they're going to just turn around and say, that's just the door-to-door space. Well, that's the leader not creating an opportunity for me. And so this episode is for us women. Like, what are some things that we can do outside the doors to basically show up for ourselves, whether on our teams or whether in our specific companies? And today I was, as I was scrolling through social media, one of the questions that was being asked is, whose job is it to take care of the emotional space of an employee? A lot of people may think that it is the employer or their leaders, but I'm here to agree and say that it's definitely us. And so for the rest of this episode, it's more of being able to throw out just some like thoughts and conversations that you as women can have with each other, whether on your teams or whether with me, on what it is that we are going to choose to be offended by. Because yes, we want to be in this space, and yes, it's currently male dominated, and maybe one day it's not going to be. But if there's not enough of us showing up for each other emotionally on our own, how are we going to be able to do that publicly with the men? And so some of the tips and advice that I do want to give for those of you women who may be the only woman on your team, or for those of you women who might be the only number of women in the entire company, is you guys being able to work on your emotional maturity off the doors. What kinds of podcasts, what kind of books, what kinds of things that you guys are doing. I personally suggest sitting down with some of your managers and some of your leaders in the company and being able to address some of the things that we might take offense to, whether it's like some of the jokes that are being said publicly or privately, but being able to sit before your selling season with some of the male leaders in the space and being able to address some of the boundaries. I think if we just make those clear before the selling season, men won't have to worry about walking on eggshells, and we as women can feel confident enough to be able to approach the leaders. But again, this episode is for us as women to be able to do a self-evaluation, to be able to do a self-check. What are we doing outside the doors to be able to take care of ourselves emotionally so that we aren't being emotionally reactive? I definitely know that a lot of things about us as women on the more sensitive side, we're going to touch a lot more customers. We're going to touch a lot more people that men can't because of the way that we choose to show up. So again, for those of you out there who may have any tips or tricks on how we can be able to continue to be invited to the space with male leaders without you all feeling offended or feeling like you have to walk on eggshells, definitely shoot some of those tips out to me. But for those of you women who are out there alone or out on teams and just showing up, thank you. You guys don't even know how much that you guys continue to inspire me being in this space. And I'm hoping that one day there'll be just as many female knockers in this space as there is men. I want you all to know that you guys are definitely enough. You guys are welcome in this space. You guys are welcome at the same tables that the men are being invited to. We've just got to continue to show up. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.